Not at all. And obviously, that criticism, that decision was being talked about at halftime. We heard Tony Romo and others saying that during the third quarter, this seems like the moment. But I will start here, and everyone who's ever played the game knows that during adversity, the most popular guy, not only on the team, but probably in the city, is the backup quarterback. Every single person is sitting there, he's our savior, put him in right now. But there's a reason why he's the backup, so you got to respect that. If I'm Coach Harbaugh, I look at this for two different reasons why I keep Lamar Jackson in there. One is this kid has answered most of the questions about him as a quarterback in this league. Remember, he overachieved this year based on what people thought he would become as a quarterback, let alone a franchise quarterback. The days of him being a wide receiver, and Bill Polian and others, those days are long gone. Now we're talking about how good of a quarterback can he be. But beyond that, he played them into this reality. The 6-1 finish to the season played them into this moment, and you have to ride with that guy, ride or die with that guy. Your job security is married to this guy actually going out there and performing. So I think for all those variables, if you add them up, this was the smart play, the smart decision to ride with Lamar Jackson.
I mean, I think it was the smart business decision. I don't think it was the smart decision as far as that team at that particular moment trying to win that football game.
Boom.
And from the jump, when they've had Lamar out there, I never felt like they gave this kid a chance to develop. And I said time and time again, but I don't know if this team can keep winning games. I don't know if they can keep winning games. And they've kept winning games. But in the playoffs, it's different. I was just talking to Whit about that. In the playoffs, teams will sacrifice some things in the regular season to not show you everything for the playoffs. It felt like the Chargers learned a lot from their loss to Baltimore at the end of the year. It didn't feel like Baltimore learned a lot from winning because they didn't change anything. They didn't try to change anything in that first three quarters. And so I felt like, yes, if they wanted to win that game on that day, they probably should have put Joe Flacco in the game. But you can't. You can't because
yes, you can.
Lamar is the sole reason you have a job, John Harbaugh. Now we're talking about John Harbaugh possibly being traded as one of the greatest coaches of all time. His organizations want to trade for him right now.
Yeah.
Okay? He was about to be fired at one point in the season. That's one. Two, if you play Joe Flacco and he hurts his knee in that fourth quarter, $25 million on the hook next year, your team is looking totally different than what you think you're going into next year as far as having that money to spend. So it was a lot of variables that went into him not
Absolutely. Yeah, if he gets hurt, you got to pay him. Yeah. And so definitely I wouldn't have put him just from that standpoint because they're moving on. Obviously, Joe Flacco is out. Lamar Jackson is the future of this franchise.
Whether you like it or not. Very well, Tony. I know you very well. Tony in pads. Those first three quarters of that game,
he's going off.
Tony Gonzalez is like, hey, man, get Flacco out here.
Well, yeah, and I watching the game yesterday, and I was saying the same thing everybody else was saying. Okay, maybe it's time to make that switch, but I would say I understood why. Immediately right then and there, I'm like, he can't go on. First of all, for financial reasons, he can get hurt. Yeah. Second of all, let's go to this. The person that I have
make him inactive. If it's so seriously.
Yeah. No,
make
what about
this?
Teams normally do that.
Don't make him inactive.
You're right. Make him inactive, just like they did with Carson Wentz yesterday. Right?
So he was available, and they could have played him.
And they could have, but I still. This is what I say. I have a problem just as much with not putting Flacco in with Marty Mornhinweg, okay, the offensive coordinator. Yeah. Why didn't they go to that four wide at the end of the game when they were out of it, right? The score's out of hand. He almost brought him back. If I'm a Baltimore
Chargers brought him back.
If I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan right now, you got to be at least a little bit excited saying, okay, we're no longer that one-trick pony that Lamar Jackson's going to take off. We're going to have a running game. I'm just saying, stay with me now.
What did y'all watch?
I'm going to stay with me now.
Stay with him. Did you turn it off? You thought it was over? You didn't see that fourth quarter?
You didn't see them come back two plays? And did you see him roll out and hit Crabtree on that rollout? That's what they need to do, okay? Let's go to a spread offense, four wide receivers.
It was
spreads the defense out.
23-3. Y'all act like y'all never been up 23-3
but how many,
in the fourth quarter.
In the playoffs? I haven't.
But how many?
I got to be a little excited. You got to be a little excited.
But when you're in that situation, coordinators on defense tend to rein it back a little bit, play a little prevent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Yes.
You were holding your breath when they kicked that onside kick.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That onside kick at the end of the game, I was like, man, if they get this ball back, they got a chance because Lamar was a different quarterback in that with 8 minutes left. It wasn't like the last 2 minutes of the game.
You're right. He was completely different.
Yeah.
He fumbled twice in the first quarter and only once in the fourth. And he was completely different.
Can we reset this? Because
he has to definitely be better.
Hold on. Y'all, can we reset this and get this back to a Lamar Jackson, bench him for Joe Flacco conversation? Because a man is as faithful as his options. So your option is Joe Flacco. Who is the most recent quarterback after 3 quarters to only throw for 25 yards or fewer? Trivia right now.
Falling right in my trap.
No, trivia right now. Who was that? It was Joe Flacco. So, damn it. And we're not going to go with the guy who just did what you just doing, what you're doing right now in this moment. Joe Flacco has proven time and time again that they have won in spite of him, despite him having that 2011 run and 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Marcellus.
Super Bowl MVP.
In that game,
they won.
Were never down 23-3.
Right.
Their backup quarterback was a kid named Troy Smith that played in the league for about 4 years, a 5th-round draft pick. You know who the backup quarterback was in this game? The guy with the second most postseason wins other than Tom Brady. The guy who gets hot every postseason. The guy with a Super Bowl.
He has a Super
guy
Bowl.
with a Super Bowl on his resume. Their options were a lot better yesterday than they were
they will ever have been.
But the guy who played them into the position where we had to put your backup in the first place.
What about you?
Oh, that guy.
You go with Joe Flacco. Did you not see Ingram and Bosa getting after Lamar Jackson?
That's Lamar Jackson.
He would have had no time back there. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
He probably
Joe
wouldn't,
Flacco is not a good scrambler.
I'm just talking about from a standpoint of play calling. Maybe Morningwig would have done something a little different.
I blame Morningwig.
Like
he should have went to that 4 wide a lot quicker.
He should have went to the 4 wide, but he was playing against a dime run package. Like, y'all know what that means.
You're supposed to run at it.
You're supposed to run at it.
Sometimes that don't always work.
If they're not scared, if they got Heart of Lions back there with that athleticism, good luck trying to get on the second level. You're not going to be double teamed.
If they got heart, tackling is a mentality.
That's
and them DBs had some heart.
When you're talking about what you see from them having a dime package out there, the Chargers played that game fully motivated week 16. They were playing for home field to keep pace with the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's not go out there and say they played vanilla. What happened in that game is they were going down for a game-winning drive, 16-10, and Gates fumbled. So then all of a sudden they said, look, y'all know how this works in the game of chess. When you win a game like that, you don't change as much because you're like, it was successful. But the losing team is like, ball that up, scrap that up. We have to do something different against a team and an offense that is limited. They fell victim to the same trap that most of us fall victim to when we're successful. We don't go back and change as much as the other team who has to clear the whiteboard.
I'm going to just say this. There's a reason why I referenced Terry Bradshaw in my essay. There's only one chance of Lamar Jackson ever developing into his full potential, and that's if he is appropriately criticized and held accountable the same way Terry Bradshaw was. If everybody just runs out and, oh, my God, you can't criticize Lamar, it's racism. Or, oh, Lamar Jackson's getting treated in a way quarterbacks have never been treated. That's all BS and baloney. This position is for people. The whole game is, but that position is for guys with the thickest skin and the toughest who can handle the criticism that goes along with being a franchise quarterback. And Lamar Jackson played terribly. He's not right now a pocket quarterback the whole damn weekend. And trust me, I look like a fool because I was hot on the Houston Texans. I never thought Deshaun Watson could play the kind of game he played. You have to play that position from the pocket. And if Lamar Jackson isn't held to that standard and we're just going to sit around and make excuses for him, he's never going to develop. He's going to be another Tebow.
I love the messaging, but I don't like the loss of perspective in there. And here's the loss of perspective. This was the youngest quarterback ever to start a playoff game, right? Now let's talk about some other notable big-name quarterbacks in their first playoff debut. And if you look at these names and you look at what Lamar Jackson did versus an Andrew Luck, a Matt Ryan, and Dan Marino, they all take L's because it's their first playoff game. You got to go through the rites of passage, the hazing of a playoff experience. But if you look at it really closely, he didn't even play the worst of some of these notable quarterbacks. So it happens.
Marcellus,
keep perspective,
Marcel, the numbers are only as good as the context around them.
Loss.
No. Oh. The man was down 23-3 with 9 minutes to play in the game or something and put up some nice numbers that elevated his QB rating.
I give you that.
What was the situation these other quarterbacks were in? Did they get to pad their stats against a prevent defense, a defense that's relaxed, a team that's up 23-3 that we saw it, they relaxed. That's what all teams do. And so if you examine the first 3 quarters, they went out there and said, you know what, we're going to confuse the hell out of this kid. We're going to throw 7 DBs out here. We're going to put Bosa and Ingram inside. And he and their coaching staff ain't going to know what to do. They put a clown suit on him. And the only way to take that clown suit off is by developing as a pocket passer. And so far, I agree with D'Angelo. That's not what they did this year.
Yeah,
what they did is save John Harbaugh's job. Yep. And that's why the Ravens fans were booing and calling for Flacco, because they're saying this whole season, 1, it was about Harbaugh, and 2, it was about Lamar Jackson. What about the Ravens? What about what's best for the – because that defense the Ravens has out there, that's a nasty Super Bowl defense that that's just damn near the same caliber defense as Ray Lewis when he carried Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco. Again,
I wouldn't go that far.
But again, it's a hell of a defense.
It's a very good defense. That defense had a lot of Hall of Famers on it. I don't think
I agree.
Many, if
we got
any.
T-Sizzle, but
I mean, you're absolutely right. And I always said developing him long term, I think, needs to be the goal and the focus. And you could just tell that was not the goal and the focus. And so moving forward, like, where does this franchise go? Because you're letting Joe Flacco walk, right? You are. It's just, he said it, they all said it. Joe Flacco is going to be a successful quarterback somewhere. Your backup's RG3. So now you got Lamar Jackson and RG3. You can't just
Y'all
run
saying that he didn't develop from
offense.
play 1 8 games ago to what we saw yesterday. And look, they slowed him down in the regular season last week. But Cleveland did as well.
Did he develop? Yes.
Yes, he developed. So
from where he started. But he started probably here.
Did y'all think he was going to go on the Super Bowl run?
No, Marcellus. I'm just talking about, did you see the man duck his shoulder, running to the sidelines, and taking on defenders?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. He's not built for that.
A lot of guys struggle with that same thing.
Not quarterbacks, though.
Oh, yes, they do, because outside of Russell Wilson, we
put his head down.
Out of bounds. I'm not talking about sliding, just step out of bounds. He was trying to, like he's Earl Campbell. That's not development.
Why didn't Jimmy G play this year? You know why? Because, look, in development,
he
you
cut
learn
back,
those
man.
things.
He cut back, though.
You learn these things.
Different.
All
he
I'm
didn't try
saying
to
is
run him over.
playoff football is plan B football. We all know that. We're taking plan A away. They took plan A away. I'm not going to put all the criticism on Lamar Jackson when they took it away from the entire offense.
Is he a franchise quarterback in the future, Tony? You're blowing my mind if you say yes.
Well, I think at this point, with what he did that last 8 minutes of the game, if they can stick to that, I'm telling you, if they can stick to that, because that is what we've been waiting to see.
When has 8 minutes ever been good enough? When has 8 minutes ever been good enough?
First of all, what is the alternative? Yeah. I like what you said. What is the alternative at this point? He's your first-round draft choice. You're getting rid of Joe Flacco. It's important that you develop him. You can take that tape and say, Lamar, we need more of this, because now you will no longer be that one-trick pony, because defenses will figure it out. You better have an arsenal. You better have different ways to be successful in this league. I think he can do it. I'm going to say yes. And I have to say, what is the alternative?
To the Ravens' point, they didn't expect Lamar Jackson to play this season. They wanted to use him in those gimmicky little things throughout the course of the game, because we saw when he was getting playing time early in the season, I never wanted it to be that read option and just go run around the edge. I wanted him to drop back, and even when he got those sparing reps, just to see him so he can see things in full speed. And so they never went into this season thinking he was going to be that kind of guy. So maybe I'm thinking this offseason they're going to have that time with him in the film room and be able to really, really get him, I think, locked into playing a different style of football, because the gimmicky stuff is not going to work.
You got to let him play.
You got to let him play. Nothing gets you in a football shape but playing football, and nothing gets you being a quarterback in the pocket that can read defenses until you get in that pocket.
I could just say that we'll end on this.
You don't need growth. What about growth? You don't like growth. You don't like it. You can't open the flower. You got to let the flower open up on its own. Give him some time.
Tony, I'm going to keep it 1,000% real. Look, man. I'm just held to a higher standard. Anytime I give a lady 8 minutes, it's never good enough. I get the side eye. 8 minutes, this ain't good.